Welcome, Corral Bar and Riverside Grill Management. Today we are here to discuss the need for an employee handbook. As all of you are aware, this is the first ever employee handbook for the Corral Bar and Riverside Grill. If any of you are questioning or wondering why all of a sudden we have a need for an employee handbook, there are several reasons. One is it's a great resource for employees to turn to if ever they're uncertain or they have questions about your expectations as an employer. Second of all, it's kind of a safety net for legal reasons. If ever a legal issue were to come about, you can use that to go back to and say, look, these were our policies and these are our procedures as far as that issue, and move forward. Lastly, there's ever constant changing federal and state laws along with industry regulations, and those would be updated as necessary. So let's kind of back it up to 1972 when Marge Berger, your mother, first purchased the Corral. It was just a bar at that point in time, and she had 9 children, which were all old enough and capable to work. It was a family-run business, and there wasn't a need for any outside employees. From 1972 to 1996, the Corral Bar remained just that, the Corral Bar. All of its sales, not all, let me back up, almost all of its sales stemmed from the alcohol sales. There were limited menu options, things such as chili or pulled pork sandwiches or hot roast beef sandwiches, chips, those types of things that you didn't need an actual restaurant to have those things. And so once again, with just such a small business, there wasn't a need for outside employees. Like I said, alcohol sales were very dominant, and those alcohol sales came from things such as bands on the weekend, and everybody knows live music and drinking go together. Sporting events, whether it was a baseball tournament on the weekend, a softball tournament on the weekend, or pool leagues on certain nights. Alcohol was the thing for the Corral Bar. And then there came a point in time in 1996 when Marge and her son Rod decided that they needed to think outside the box and that it was definitely a time to transition. And they purchased the building next door, which was the birth date of the Corral Bar and Riverside Grill. It wasn't long before food sales dominated liquor sales, and more employees were needed. Family wasn't enough. So let's think about today. What takes place today? Obviously, we have the bar, the Corral Bar, and then we have the restaurant portion, the Riverside Grill. What makes that as successful and as busy and as ever-changing are things such as kayak and canoe rentals. The people that come in and rent the canoes and kayaks, whether it's lunch before they head down the Chippewa River or whether it's dinner afterwards, it's a huge customer base during the summer. The DNR registration station. We all prepare very heavily when it comes to deer hunting, and this is the reason why. People come to weigh their deers. Hunters come for the camaraderie. They love to hear the telltale stories of how they got the 17-pointer. It brings in a lot of customers and a lot of money. And a need at this point for, double staffing. The deck during the summer is a huge, it's for lack of a better term, it's huge. It brings in people from the cities. It brings in people from other, metropolitan areas that love small town rural Wisconsin and love the scenery of sitting on a deck overlooking a river and the eagles flying. I'm from here and it's great. The United Cerebral Palsy fundraisers, as all of us are aware, and if you're not aware, Sharon Berger is the #1 fundraiser in the state of Wisconsin. She brings in the most money. She's done it for 15 years. And things happen here from the golf tournament to the raffles to just basic fundraisers. This is another thing. And not only do we have to double staff at this point in time, but we have volunteers that come in, and these types of things will be put in the handbook. And then last is just the town activities. Just take, for example, just this past summer when we had the Blues on the Chippewa. They had a record-breaking year of 40,000 plus, I believe, people that came to the town of Durand to listen to live music, and the people that we drew in were incredible. So let's move on to the handbook. The first thing that we would want to take a look at is the welcoming statement. Obviously, we want to convey a welcoming environment along with a brief history like I just went about of the Corral Bar Riverside Grill, and then, of course, our mission statement as a business. The next would be our at-will statement. Basically, this is just stating that the employee's employment is at will. It's their choice. Next is a contract disclaimer and the right to revise. This basically states that the employee handbook is not a contract. Like we stated before, it's at-will employment, and that we as the employers have a right to revise our handbook at any point in time we feel necessary. Next to that is going to be the equal opportunity or the equal employment opportunity statement. Federal and state laws, I mean, it's everywhere that we as an employer cannot discriminate against a person due to their religion, due to their race, due to their gender, due to their age. There are several other things, but obviously that's things that you can find at the, right online at their websites. Harassment. We all know that sexual harassment is a big thing right now in workplaces. So, of course, that's one thing we'd want to touch on as far, along with any and all forms of harassment. And then I think another small tidbit that we're going to want to include in that is just that we as an employer prohibit any type of retaliation if, in fact, harassment, is an issue. Next, we're going to want to discuss reasonable accommodations and interactive process. What this is it basically states that if someone with a disability comes to us and is seeking employment, that we will make reasonable accommodations although there's not undue hardships, to ensure that they could work for us. It just kind of shows that, we are interactive in that type of thing. This is kind of I know it's kind of a big, there's a lot of words here, but it's just basically the types of things that are in almost every employee handbook. The leave of absence policy. We just had an issue come up not that long ago with a bartender who was having a baby. We had nothing. We couldn't tell her legally the amount of time that she was required to take off. We didn't have anything to reference. So these types of things would be in there. Disciplinary policies. If you do this, then this is what's going to happen. Wage and hour policies. This is kind of crucial because in the state of Wisconsin, we know that the rate that we are required to pay our waitresses is by far less than minimum wage. Workplace safety, conflict of interest. The whistleblower policy, I was a little unsure of as to whether it's something that you guys would want included, but I just kind of put it in there, and obviously if we want to just strike it out, that's fine. Open door policy, we want to convey to our employers that we are willing to listen and we are ready to listen, whether it's something small or whether it's something big. We have an open door policy. Please come and let us know what's taking place. There's the employee grievance, the electronic usage policy, electronic equipment usage policy, which I know right now is a big thing with cell phones and them being used more frequently than what we would like. Employee meal policy and proper dress policy. Finally, what we'd want to have is a signed acknowledgement. And what that is it's a piece of paper that basically states that the employee has received the handbook, they understand the aspects of it, they sign off, and it goes into their employee file. So if anything were to ever come up, once again for legal reasons, we can pull this out of their employee file and say, look, they signed it, they acknowledged they had it, they acknowledged they understood it. So why are we held responsible? So today is a new day. Our motto is a real taste of Wisconsin. To date, our journey of 44 years has been great, and we have many more years to come. Our employee handbook prepares us for that, along with all of the what ifs. Also, we want to offer, like I said, our employees that resource to ever, look at if ever there's a question about us or about the expectations that aren't clear. So that's the end. We've went over a brief history of the Corral Bar and Riverside Grill. We went over the need and the reasons why we need an employee handbook, and then we kind of went over the guts of what the employee handbook would look like. So thank you and have a great day.